So you remember the movie Due Date, right?
Guess who's got a winning personality? Me. What do you have? You have a nice hairline, fine. You have a strong jaw, fine. But I gotta tell you something, mister. Your personality needs some work.
Hilarious. Now imagine that Zach Galifianakis' character from that movie won the lottery, bought a big house on a small island, and then hired his favorite band to come play a private gig on that island. That's basically the setup of this movie, The Ballad of Wallis Island. This movie is directed by James Griffiths, and I'm not sure if this is his very first feature film, but I know he does a lot of television. He does a lot of television, including quite a few episodes of A Million Little Things, which comes on ABC, which is a show that I really like, and it's a really heartfelt show. It pulls on the heartstrings really hard, which is also what happens in this movie. So seems like he was well equipped for it. And two of the leads in this film are also the writers of the movie. Tom Basden and Tim Key star in the movie. They both wrote the movie, and they based this movie off of a 25-minute short film that they did 14 years ago. So the moment you are about to give up on your dream, or you feel like your dream is taking too long, come to this movie because it'll happen. You can't give up. You just really can't give up. And along with those two as the lead in the movie is also Carey Mulligan, who's amazing. And they all do a very good job in this movie. And the chemistry between them is all very natural and hilarious. This movie is the best love story I've seen this year so far. And it's one of the better love stories I've seen in recent memory, but not in the way you expect. Because like I said, a multimillionaire hires his favorite band to come do a private show at his house. But what we find out is that the band is a husband and wife duo, and they've been broken up and divorced for about a decade. So he hires the husband first, who had gone on to become a famous solo artist, and doesn't tell him that he hired the ex-wife too until she shows up with her new husband. Because the first half of this movie sets you up to expect a very familiar formula. It sets up a very typical romantic comedy that we've seen a lot of before. So you're watching all the pieces fall into place and everything gets set up, and you're pretty confident about where this is gonna go. To the point where I was sitting there rolling my eyes. I'm like, if it goes there, I'm gonna be irritated. And then we get to about the halfway point, and the story takes a turn, and you realize you have two people consumed with what they lost. And through the preparation of this reunion performance, they both rediscover themselves and realize that life is worth living. The characters deal with the emotional struggle in a way that highlights and acknowledges how difficult overcoming stuff like this is, but also the necessity of it and how debilitating it can be if you don't. The comedy, like I said, the comedy is very much in the vein, like I said, of Due Date, with that awkward naivete comedy. And so if that's something that you like, then you really like that, because it's an abundance of it. The only negative I've had, the only negative I had of the story is that it was fine when it was just one character doing that. But the movie had another character that kind of did that too. And so at that point, it got a little old for me. It got a little, so once we got about over the halfway hump in the movie, I'm like, all right, this thing is the comedy, the comedicness, the levity of it isn't hitting the same anymore. And now I'm starting to be grumpy like Robert Downey Jr. in Due Date, where I'm like, come on now. Now, when we're talking about this in terms of my theatrical rating system, so when movies go to theaters, we talk about it in terms of, should you buy a ticket and go see it in the theater? Should you wait and just stream it? Or should you just skip it altogether? And I'm going to say this, it hurts my heart. I really don't like ever to say, don't go to the theater and see a movie that was put in theaters, because it was put in theaters. The filmmakers worked really hard on it, and it deserves the support, especially if it's well made. If it's a good movie, it deserves support. That's just how I feel. But if I'm going to be honest, I will say this. If you need a date movie in March, it's March. There's not a lot of movies. There's not a lot of big tentpole movies. There's not a lot of that going on this month. And so if you just like going to the movies and you want like a nice date movie or a girls' night movie or just something emotional to wrap yourself in at the movies, this is a perfect one. Go see this. It's worth the ticket. But if I'm being honest, if I'm being genuine in how I feel, this movie I think is best enjoyed with the lights off, on the couch, on the biggest TV that you own. It's a snuggie movie. It's wrap up when it's raining, put it on, and give yourself a good cry. That's where I think this movie fits. But let me know what you think. Have you heard of this movie? Do you plan to check it out? Do you plan to wait till it comes on streaming? Or have you seen it already? If so, what do you think? Let me know. I love to talk. The conversation is the best part. And then what's the best movie? And then what's the best love story that you've seen in the past couple months? Let me know that too. Thanks for coming by, and I'll catch you guys next time.